What's my sound on, brother? No, because he does not have the sound on.
It should be blinking blue.
There it is.
See?
I turned it on.
Go. It's on now. It's good now.
But I don't see no blue. Oh, there you go. Yeah.
See, the reason why I know is because I had this like dope intro when I was here last. Y'all say, can you do that again? I'm like, I don't know how to do that again. Like, I'm just for everybody's building.
Hey, bro, you don't have to let them do an intro again, but can you let them know what show it is? Because they didn't hear that just now.
Oh,
just the show, just the name of the show.
Hey, this is The Lord's Been Kind. That's because the Lord has truly been kind.
Praise God.
You know what I'm saying? And I would say that the Lord's been kind for me because the Lord blessed me with a great family, but most important, man, I got the Word of God.
The Word of God.
Enough to know how to obtain my salvation.
Word.
So that's why we got the Lord's been kind, and we welcome you. For those that didn't hear us, welcome you prior. And today our topic is Jerusalem, the Holy Land, the Holy City. Over there where we're gonna see what we're talking about, why we talking about, and everything.
Right.
All right. So number one, the first thing that I'm gonna address is why we care. So I'm in Matthew chapter 5, King James Bible, and I'm gonna read 33 through 35. So it says, and again ye have heard that it have been said of them of old times, thou shalt not forswear thyself, but shall perform unto the Lord your oath. So what he's telling you right here is, whatever you say you're supposed to do, you're supposed to do it. You ain't got to swear, I put that on my mama, I put this on everything, I put this on my baby.
Right.
All that. You ain't got to do all that, just tell the truth.
Right.
Then he says, but I say unto you, swear not at all, neither by, swear not at all.
Right.
Semicolon.
Right.
Neither by heaven, for it is God's throne, nor by the earth, for it is his footstool, neither by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king.
Yes, sir.
So the Bible tells us that Jerusalem is the city of the great king. And what we understand and know is that when God comes back, like how he says in the Lord's Prayer, our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth. So when God comes back to earth, and let's go to Zechariah real quick. Zechariah 14.
Hey.
When he comes back to this earth, I'm going to show you where he's going to rule, where the capital of the world is going to be. And as you see on our screen, and I will be taking it off after I read out of this historical piece. But as you see on our screen, we're showing you that land. And what I want you to notice most important about that land is that Egypt, and yes, I did say Egypt, was here before Jerusalem was called Jerusalem, and it's been here after, meaning it's still here. Jerusalem changed all kind of names.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They done named it all kind of stuff. Like, and even when you look on the page and you look at this map here, like if you notice, it's not just Israel. Because that's what we familiarize ourselves with is Jerusalem. That's a city.
Right.
But the reality is today, if we talk about where is Jerusalem, it's in a country that's called Israel.
That's right.
Now, when they say, when the world says Israel, they're not talking about a people. It's like saying America. That's what saying Israel is, except, of course, it's over there in the Middle East, as you can see. And so, in Egypt again, which if you're looking at it, should be on it's southwest, and it's on the bottom, and then as you come upward, you're going to get to where, the promised land. So at any rate, in Zechariah chapter 14, it says, behold, I'm at verse 1. The day of the Lord cometh, and thy spoil shall be divided in the midst of thee. And I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle. So like this is at the end, and the Lord is saying, I'm going to grab all nations to battle here. Because really what you learn, there's been a great controversy over this land.
That's right.
And the Lord is coming back to settle this controversy.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to uncover some of the controversy. We're just going to deal with Jerusalem a little bit to get you familiar so that when you turn back around and watch your news segments on what's going on in Palestine or what's going on in Jordan, or what's going on, what's the other place? Gaza Strip. When you hear these things, this is all the Holy Land. Okay? So it says, for I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle. In the city, that's another thing I want you to understand. Jerusalem is a city.
Yes, sir.
Not a country.
Right.
It is a city.
Right.
All of us might not have lived in Jerusalem, but we definitely dwelt within that whole region that you see, really going up like Galilee, coming all the way down, Nazareth, all those towns and stuff that you read about in the Bible. So it says, for I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, houses shall be rifled, and women ravished. Half the city shall go into captivity, the residue of the people shall not be cut off of the city. Verse 3. Then shall the Lord go forth and fight against those nations, as when he fought in the day of battle. And his feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem.
Come on.
In the east.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So when the Lord comes back, the first place he's going to step down is on a mount that is over there in the Holy Land, right east of Jerusalem.
That's right.
Okay.
Right.
And the Mount of Olives shall cleave, and so on and so forth. We're not gonna read all that, but that's where the Lord is going to set up His kingdom.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna give you guys a little historical or a little brief information out of the Ungus Bible Dictionary. Okay.
Bring
And we're
it out.
looking up Jerusalem. So here's a couple of things on Jerusalem, first city of Palestine, and the holy city for 3 great world religions. So it's a holy city for 3 world religions.
Yeah.
Right now, when you start talking about Jerusalem, there are 3 people that really want to say this city should be in our custody. We should have claims to it. We should run it, rule it, whatever. Now, notice the first thing we read was, and the holy city. Like this is the only place,
Holy city.
not Vatican.
Right.
This is the only place on the planet, not Washington D.C., not New York, but Jerusalem is the only place on the planet where we call the holy city. And the Christians that all want it, or what the Christians want it, Judaism wants it, and Islam all want to have claim to this particular city.
That's right.
Okay. Now, if you look on, or if you were to go through, I'm gonna grab another book here on Jerusalem, and I'm gonna read something out of here real quick. Give me one quick. Okay. So I'm in the Oxford Companion to the Bible. Okay. And I'm reading up something called symbolism. That's under Jerusalem. And I'm gonna start in the second paragraph here. I'll start the first. Although the 16th century period was a great scientific advances among European map makers. So now we're dealing with maps. And the reason we're dealing with this is because I want to make one more claim before I pass the mic to my brothers and we really get into our segment. He says, although the 16th century period, so the 16th century is what, the 1500s.
Right.
Because the 0 to 100 is the first century.
Correct.
Right.
So then when you get to the 100s, that's the second century. Like right now, we are in the, 21st century now? And when I was born in the 20th century.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So it says, although the 16th century was a period of great scientific advances among European map makers, one of the best known maps of the period is more imaginative than accurate. So they say, because here, when we say imaginative, the technology advancements at the time when they started making maps, people had to kind of do some guesswork. You know what I'm saying? Because, the science wasn't there to scale it out as you see in our map provided. Okay? So he says, one of the best known maps of the period is more imaginative than accurate. A woodcut in the form of a clover leaf with Jerusalem depicted as the center of the world from the intimate continents of Europe, Asia, and Africa. The ideal of the centrality of Jerusalem has been a mainstay in Christianity in various ways since its inception. It has also been integral to Judaism since the time of King David in the 10th century before Christian era, and together with sacred cities of Mecca and Medina to Islam since its beginning in the 7th century Christian era. And in the modern era of nation states, Jerusalem is both the capital of Israel and for Palestine. Let me explain how this works. We just said a city is the capital for Israel, as you see, and Palestine. That's like saying New York, or that's like saying Washington, D.C. is the capital for Canada and the United States. Not gonna work. So when you begin to start understanding the controversy that's going on over there, it's like everybody is trying to make claims to this land.
Right.
The reality is, it ain't none of their land.
It ain't.
Okay, let me finish this up. Jerusalem is both capital of Israel and for Palestine, the capital of the state of Palestine. Thus, Jerusalem has long been a focus of powerful intertwined passion of religious and politics. So when we get to the religion part, The religion part is more past. And when we say more past, more in modern day, it's about politics. When I say modern day, like we can say really since World War II. It's been more, it's been more about politics. Prior to World War II, when it was really under the hands, coming into that of a nation, it was in the hands of some empire. Jerusalem pretty much has always been in the hands of some empire, whether it was a Roman empire or whether it was a Muslim empire.
Right.
But Jerusalem was always in the hand of some empires. But after World War II, there aren't any more empires. And after World War II, 1945, after that took place, now we start to lose our colonization on this planet. So now every piece of land is beginning to belong to whoever makes claim on it.
Teach, man.
Not who it belongs to, but whoever makes claim on it. Okay. So yeah, that's good. So with that being said, and I can go for those who know me, I can just keep going and going.
Right.
So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm actually gonna lift my chair so we can clear this screen because we're gonna put Brother Josh up next. And Brother Josh, I would just like for you to, first of all, you can introduce your study and, things that, like a little history on yourself if you like to, it's no problem. But then at the end of the day though, give us some insight on Jerusalem, whether it be past, present, or even future.
Okay. Yeah, man. So I don't think I need to introduce myself or whatever. I'm just somebody who, like my brothers right here, we just love knowledge and we love seeking truth.
Absolutely.
And we like doing research. And as you can see, Brother Jediah just brought out 2 great references on Jerusalem. Mm-hmm. So and that's what we're gonna continue to do. Man, there's so many places we could start, but I feel like it's interesting to know that's Jerusalem is, like you said, it's the city of a great king, but the Lord always wanted us to worship there, and he wanted to worship with us there. That's why it's a great land, right? And I want to show us something in Deuteronomy 16.
Yes, sir.
We can look at that, because the Lord, he revealed it in due time. Because it wasn't always the capital, right? It wasn't always where it was that Israel knew where the capital was. They didn't always know where the Lord was going to place his name.
That's right.
But he revealed that to them because that's the city of a great king.
That's right.
So Deuteronomy 16, and
I'll read it. Where you going?
Okay, yeah, I want to find it where he talked about putting his name, where he called the place, he wanted to put his name for the feast, for the 3 times a year, which shows its spiritual value and its spiritual meaning to the Most High. So let's see, I guess we could start at, verse 3.
Thus shalt thou eat no leavened bread with it. 7 days shalt thou eat unleavened bread therewith, even the bread of affliction. For thou camest forth out of the land of Egypt in haste. That thou mayest remember the day when thou camest forth out of the land of Egypt all the days of thy life.
All right, that's perfect. And could you skip down to verse 12?
Now before we, you got
yeah, for sure.
But notice again, when I opened up, I said Egypt.
Right, and that's perfect.
And here's the thing.
Yeah.
In the midst of the controversy, and the Bible speaks of the controversy of Jerusalem.
Oh yeah.
And of Zion, that's another name for Jerusalem. The people that not the originators, because the original people were actually black people that was in that region. They were Hamites, as the Bible calls them. That's
right.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Canaanites, to be more exact, Jebusites, Philistines, all those people were in that region.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, what has happened through the course of time is that we got the land, and that's what we here in Deuteronomy looking at. We took the land of Israel.
For sure.
We took Jerusalem, the holy city, all that. When the walls of Jericho fell, that was over there in that holy land. Well, now, we also later on, 70 AD, 136 AD, we also got put out of that land. Now, as a part of getting put out of that land, what happened is the people who took our spot in the land, what they did was they did a conspiracy to eliminate us as a people.
For sure.
So one of the things that they did was you know what else they did? They eliminated us and they eliminated themselves. Like, see, because the people that went in and took the land after we were there were called Idumeans.
Right.
The word Idumea is really coming from Esau.
Right.
Esau was Jacob's brother.
Right.
So these Idumeans, or what we like to say, the so-called Jews.
Right. The fake Jews.
Right. They have conspired to take our land.
For sure.
And we was discussing earlier, Ira and I, about who are the Edomites.
Right.
And because we was discussing how the people who got into the land are in the land now. Because really, you got a lot of Jewish people.
Right.
That aren't, they're not Edom. They are Gentiles. That's in the land.
Right.
But Edom has done that on purpose so that he can continue to cover up.
Yeah,
because
himself.
if we discover that you're an Edomite, then the next question becomes, so who are the Israelites?
The Israelites, right.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So with all that being said, Egypt is the one place on the map that existed prior to us becoming a nation, or Israel becoming a land that belonged to us, and it also exists afterward. So we can use that kind of as a landmark when you're trying to understand and locate, because everybody's not good at geography, you know what I mean? Some people can't tell you what Topeka, Kansas is on the map. So they definitely can't tell you how to go through the Gibraltar Strait to get over to Jerusalem, to go through the Mediterranean, to above Northern Africa. I'm saying all that so that people can, I'm giving you words that might help you when you go do your own homework to find how you get to Jerusalem. But at any rate, I just wanted to bring that up.
Nah, that's an excellent point. And Egypt, saying Egypt and, bringing that all together, that's perfect. That's beautiful, man. So yeah, verse 12.
By the way, the original Egyptians were black. Verse 12.
For sure.
Right, that's
For
real.
sure. And if they were black and Moses, right, the Pharaoh claimed Moses as his son, and he had to pass as an Egyptian, right, because Pharaoh was trying to kill the Israelites.
Exactly.
Then what color are the Israelites?
Well, he sure couldn't have been white, because I would have known what this baby doing.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah, nah, man. So that's a message right there.
Yes, sir.
So with verse 12, bro, it's going to continue from that same thought.
And thou shalt remember that thou was a bondman in Egypt, and thou shalt observe and do these statutes.
And that's deep right there, because Egypt was our first slavery.
Yes, sir.
And Israel represents our freedom.
Yes, sir.
So that's deep. We can't be in Egypt, in bondage spiritually.
Right.
We got to be thinking about Israel. We got to think about who we are, because this land, the Lord got this for us.
That's right.
So what verse 13 say, bruh?
Thou shalt observe the Feast of Tabernacles 7 days. After that thou hast gathered in thy corn and thy wine. And thou shalt rejoice in thy feast, thou and thy son and thy daughter and thy manservant and thy maidservant and the Levite and the stranger
and the stranger
and
right.
the fatherless
right.
and the widow
right.
that are within thy gates.
Wow.
7 days shalt thou keep a solemn feast unto the Lord thy God in the place which the Lord shall choose.
Okay. Yeah, so the place where the Lord shall choose. Remember that. You can go ahead, bro.
Because the Lord thy God shall bless thee in all thine increase, and in all thy works of thine hands, therefore thou shalt surely rejoice.
And he gonna tell you again, what it say in 16?
3 times in a year shall all thy male appear before the Lord thy God in the place which he shall choose.
Which he shall choose. Let's remember that, because he ain't telling where he choosing yet.
Right.
He didn't tell him where that place is right now.
In the Feast of Unleavened Bread. In the Feast of Weeks.
Right.
And in the Feast of Tabernacles. And they should not appear before the Lord in them.
Man, so look, so now let's find out where that place is.
Yes, sir.
2 Chronicles.
Very good.
Yeah, 2 Chronicles. Now we're gonna find out where is the place where the Lord said he gonna put his name.
Right.
Where he shall choose. The place where he shall choose. Let's find it. Just showing you the significance. And you mentioned that controversy. We gotta hit Psalm 83.
No doubt.
But I think that Ira might hit that.
Yeah,
because all right, bro. Why don't you let's see. You can start at verse 1, and then we'll skip.
What chapter?
2 Chronicles 6. My bad. I thought I said it. Okay. Yeah, my fault.
2 Chronicles 6.
Yeah, 2 Chronicles 6 and 1.
Yes, sir. Then Solomon said, the Lord has said that he would dwell in thick darkness. But I have built a house of habitation for thee, in a place where thy dwell forever.
Oh yeah.
And the king turned his face and blessed the whole congregation of Israel. And all the congregation of Israel stood, and he said, Blessed be the Lord God of Israel, who hath with his hands fulfilled that which he spake with his mouth to my father David, saying, Since the day that I brought forth my people out of the land of Egypt.
There you go again.
I chose no city among all the tribes of Israel to put a house in. That my name might be there. Neither chose I any man to be a ruler over my people Israel.
But what has he chosen, bruh?
But I have chosen Jerusalem, that my name might be there.
Yes, sir.
And I have chosen David to be over my people.
Man, and that's why when you have some understanding,
Yes, sir.
you find out that after David took, Jerusalem and set up in Jerusalem, he ruled in Hebron as well. But after David sat on the throne, all the kings that ruled in Jerusalem was known as sitting on the throne of David.
Right.
The throne of David.
Yes,
and
sir.
the Lord letting you know that right here. So, and we can look at it, we can look at it one more time. I think it's further down. He gonna bring it out. If you skip down to 24, I believe, or actually, why don't you hit 24, that's cool.
And if thy people Israel be put to the worst before the enemy, because they have sinned against thee, and shall return and confess thy name, and pray, and make a supplication before thee in this house, then hear thou from the heavens, and forgive the sins of thy people Israel. Bring them again into the land which thou gavest to them and to their fathers.
Yeah, man, that's deep.
Yes, sir.
And that's why we pray towards Jerusalem.
So what we're getting at is, being in America,
Right.
this was almost 3,000 years ago.
Right.
Being here, I can face this temple that Solomon built for Jesus or for God,
right,
where he dwelled, and the Lord is saying, even though we in captivity, he'll still hear us from that spot.
Man,
That's right.
That's deep. That's deep.
It's deep.
Us and the stranger.
Yes, sir.
And the stranger. And that's just showing you the significance of Jerusalem.
So when we have church and we stand up and we face the east,
that's what we do.
Technically, we're not facing
the east, right?
Right, because if we was in Poland, we would stand up and face the south.
Right.
We was in South Africa, we would stand up and face the north.
Right.
Because the reality is, we're facing
towards the
Jerusalem.
That's what it is.
When
the temple was.
Exactly.
Right.
The temple that Solomon built.
Right.
And it's great significance in this temple that Solomon built, because from that temple, there was a temple that was there when Jesus was around. And even in the modern day,
right,
when you go over right now, the funny thing is, there's a Muslim temple right there. You see what I'm saying? Because at some point through history, the Muslims came in.
For sure.
Arabs, or even better, a better name for all of that, the sons of Ishmael. You know what I'm saying? And some of Abraham's other kids. See, a lot of people think Abraham had 2 kids.
Right.
He had Isaac and Ishmael. Sorry, y'all. But as a matter of fact, we're going to see he had more kids when we go to Psalms 83.
Yeah.
But those Ishmaelites and what we call Arabs, they put a temple there now because they saying, and that's where the Dome of the Rock is.
Right.
You know, we don't really normally call that a temple because we don't worship that type of God.
Right.
But at the end of the day, that is what that is.
Yeah, it's a pagan temple.
Exactly. It's a pagan temple with a dome, and it actually sits where the Lord had his temple.
Right.
You know, because it has significant value, as we was reading in some of our books, to even the Islamic world.
And that's why we gotta, that's beautiful, man, because we gotta bring it full circle and show you that's why the Lord even told you about this abomination of desolation, who's gonna sit in the 3rd temple.
Exactly.
What does he call it? The holy place.
The holy place.
That's why it's a place where he ought not be sitting.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Because we talking about the Lord's holy land, brothers
That's
and
right.
sisters.
That's right.
So, and we showing you that right here. Where was you at, bro? What was that, 26?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. So they just need to, I just wanted them to see that's where the Lord, and you mentioned us being in captivity. Why don't we just look at Daniel when he was in captivity doing the same thing?
Oh,
which show you that,
Daniel faced Jerusalem, went to jail.
Right. That show you, man. You got to go all out for the Lord.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Brother, why you going
Go
there,
ahead,
please,
bro.
if you don't mind,
Yeah,
please.
for sure.
That was Solomon answering, right? That was Solomon praying to the Lord.
Right.
Now listen, that's him asking when he dedicated the temple in the first place, right? The Lord himself is going to respond to him in the same chapter, in 2 Chronicles chapter 2, just verses 12 to 15. I mean to 16. And let me say, it's imperative that we go ahead and let you know that, see, the Lord is what matters, brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying? He what matters. And when he talks, you should be listening. So now, this is the response to Solomon praying to the Lord. So now he says, and verse 12 says what, brother?
I'm not there.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's all good.
Go ahead.
And the Lord appeared to Solomon by night and said unto him, I have heard thy prayer and have chosen this place to myself. This is 2 Chronicles chapter 7, verses 12 through 16. I'm at 12.
And the Lord appeared to Solomon by night and said unto him, I have heard thy prayer, have chosen this place to myself for an house of sacrifice. If I shut up heaven, that there be no rain, or if I command the locusts to devour the land, or if I send pestilence among my people, if my people, which are called by my name, humble themselves and pray, and seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, and will forgive their sin, will heal their land.
There you go.
And will heal what?
Heal their land.
We're going to heal their land. You know what I mean? Not just the temple that's over there, because that's going to be there too, but we're talking about the land over there. Right. And we pray towards that land, you know what I mean, where the temple sit at that land, you know what I mean?
Praise
so like
Lord.
my brother just said, you know what I mean, if we're here, we're praying towards, in this hemisphere, it'll be towards the east, but we ain't praying towards the east. You know what I mean? As I'm going to pass it back to you. I mean, as like the Muslims pray, you know what I mean? They're praying towards the east. They worship in the sun god, you know what I'm saying? But we going towards our land.
Speak of that. That's why I always try to clarify that we facing Jerusalem, because the Bible says that in Ezekiel, and we're not going to read it, but I think it was Ezekiel chapter 8. Yeah, Ezekiel chapter 8, where he was like, look, they was, you know, the wicked abominations that the priests and the men was doing. They was they was out with their backs to the temple of God, facing the east.
Facing the east, right.
So you know what I'm saying? It's like, no, we're not facing the east. We're facing Jerusalem. Like how you was talking about Daniel.
For sure. Yeah, we're gonna look at Daniel, because Daniel wasn't facing east. He couldn't have been.
No,
because he was in Babylon. He's in Babylon. That's above, so he's facing south.
Exactly. Daniel what, 5?
I think it's Daniel 6.
Okay, yeah, I see it. You want me to start at 10, or you want me to start up higher?
You can start up one. You can start up at
Daniel 6 and 1.
No. I was gonna say you can start off one more higher than from what it is. You can start off at 8. Yeah, that's good.
Now, O king, establish the decree.
There you go.
Sign the writing, that it be not changed according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which alter it not. Wherefore, King Darius, sign the writing and the decree.
Just like they signed the writing and decree about laws for us to stay home and you can't gather in these kinds of places. But what do servants of God do? You know, because even in the New Testament, it tells you it's better to obey God rather than man.
That's right.
So we're going to see that right here, but we're going to see where he's facing in this prayer.
Now, when Daniel knew that the writing was signed.
So he knew, just like we know. Like people expect us to be closed as a church, as an organization. Nah, but we know. You know, we knew soon as it was passed, when they said you couldn't gather, you can't keep the Sabbath, you can't go to church. We knew we wasn't listening to that. Because it's better to obey God rather than man. We trying to get salvation.
For FYI too, during the beginning stages of the COVID virus, we had we kept our feast, like how we just reading about keeping the feast.
Exactly.
Well, we kept
for sure. Praise the Lord.
We were in the downtown Philadelphia area, and it was pretty gentiled out, and the majority of us are Israelites, so that looked a little different. So they called the police on us.
Man.
So you know, when the police get out there, you know, I come out there, I talk to the police, and the police like, oh, there's nothing we can do about what y'all doing. So the funny thing about it is, in some cases, don't let propaganda take your spirit away. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just go full head. Let the Lord make the decision on what can be done and what not can be done. Because we was gonna do what we was gonna do, and they was about to send us to jail that day, which they wasn't gonna do. But in this case, they did. Verse 10.
Yeah, verse 10, bro.
Now, when Daniel knew that the writing was signed, he went into his house. His windows being open in his chambers toward Jerusalem. He kneeled upon his knees 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his God as he did aforetime.
Man, toward Jerusalem, brothers and sisters. The same thing we doing while we in captivity. So that's just showing you that, hey, we actually following the path of our ancestors.
Yes, sir.
Because we the true children of Israel, you know? And so that's something important to know too, that like salvation is coming out of Jerusalem, brothers and sisters.
Right.
It's coming out of the people, the real people from Jerusalem.
That's right.
Right? So, and we might as well read that just so they know in John 4. And then if it ain't nothing else, you know, because it's a lot to talk about.
We can go on.
It's a big topic.
Try to keep it.
You know, but we already done seen that the Lord you should know, if you know the Bible, that the Lord got a holy people, a chosen people that He brought out of Egypt. Right, that's the premise around the beginning of the nation of Israel. You know, that's why the Lord he introduced himself as the God. Sometimes he even say the God of Egypt, but he don't mean he the God of the sun god Ra in Egypt. He's saying he the God that brought his people out of Egypt.
Right.
When he says he's the God of Egypt, right? But that's just showing you, brothers and sisters, you don't have a land that the Lord gave without his people there. You know, and when he said he wanted to choose a place for his people to be, you saw the Levites, the stranger, even because they joined on to Israel. Now they Israel. When he's showing you that, brothers and sisters, when we talked about the feast, right? That's showing you that, hey, the Lord has a desire to dwell in Jerusalem with his people.
That's right.
So you can't forget about this people.
That's right.
You know, people been talking about the Holy Land for years, but they ain't been talking about the right people. The people of the promise, the promised land. So y'all got to know that. You know what I'm saying? So John 4 and 22. Yup, let's go.
Worship ye know not what.
Right.
Ye worship ye know not what.
Right. Let them know
what we worship.
Right.
That's right.
Why is that though?
For salvation is of the Jews.
Man, that's deep. So the Lord didn't even say, I know what I worship. Because of course he do, right? Because he the one that gave us, the protocol and the order how to worship him.
That's right.
He didn't just say, I know what I worship, right? Because I'm worshiping the Father, I'm the Son, I know. Because we used to kick it, we was like this before I came as a man. Nah, he said, him and his people, brothers and sisters. So you cannot belittle the significance of the people of Jerusalem, the people of Israel. And that's why we the people, bringing it out to you.
Right down.
We the people that the world need to listen to when it pertains to our land.
Absolutely.
So that's our land.
It says salvation.
Salvation's of the Jews.
Now this past week when we was in Philadelphia, we was talking about this, and one of the sisters at the end of the day was confused. And here's why she was confused. Let's go to Revelations 3 and 9.
Okay.
Because we need to establish a point here.
Perfect.
We have to establish that when we say salvation is of the Jews,
right?
Who we talking about? Because even a couple weeks ago when I was in North Carolina, this Jewish woman was saying that Jesus actually belonged to her, and we
heard about that.
Yeah, we like no. Jesus belonged to us. We sat here arguing with this lady over who Jesus belonged to because she a Jew, and so it says salvation is of the Jew. And what I want you to understand. And really, just so you know, in history, between 70 AD and 200 AD, the Jew changed.
Right, exactly.
So prior to 70 AD, the Jew is the black man.
Right.
After 200 AD, and you start seeing Jew in history, he's somebody else. He's an imposter.
Exactly.
That's Idumea. That's Esau.
That's right.
That's, the so-called
Make
Jew.
it plain, bro.
All right? But look, or the Israeli, as we like to say now. But I'm at Revelation 3 and 9. It says, behold, I will make them of the synagogues of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie.
They're lying.
Now look, there's only one people on the planet. There are two people on the planet that say they're Jews. Us, them.
Right.
Now look, let's go back to 2 and 9.
Exactly.
I'm gonna show you a little trick here.
Make it plain.
Now, everybody know us.
Right.
We ghetto, poor, we live in the projects.
Hood rich.
And then when you look at the Jew,
right.
I mean, the Jew got the jewelry stores, he got the banks, he got the movies, he got the radio.
Bring it up.
So basically, He's the haves and we're the have-nots.
Right.
There's two people claiming to be the Jew, though. Now, when you read this,
I'm gonna read it for you, bro.
go ahead.
I know thy works and tribulation and poverty.
So he talking to who? Go ahead, keep reading. Though.
But thou art rich.
So he talking to somebody saying, I know your work, I know the trouble you're going through,
There you go.
and I know your brokenness, your poverty.
There you go.
He said, but really you rich though. Because what you ain't got in winning, you're going to have in spirit. You're going to have it in other places.
Right.
So really you rich.
That matters.
All right, but go ahead.
And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not.
But what else?
But are the synagogue of Satan.
First of all, when I identify synagogue, the first thing I even come to is the so-called Jews.
Right.
The
Yes.
Bible just said they lying. Because they got money, we don't.
For sure.
So if two people, ain't nobody else, the Indians ain't walking around here, but you. You know what I'm saying? So like it's only two people doing that.
Right.
Us and them.
Right.
Somebody's lying.
Right.
But the Bible just said again, I know your poverty, talking to the real Jew.
Come on.
So when he goes to John chapter 4 and show you salvation is of a Jew, which Jew we talking about?
Right.
We talking about the real Jew.
Right.
Not the one who got banked. The one who own your jewelry store are the ones who manipulating the whole system so that they can try to get our land. So as we walk down that pathway, I'm gonna go to Matthew 23, and I'm gonna read something in Matthew 23, and then I'm gonna pass the mic over to
Pass the mic.
Yes, sir.
Brother Ira as we bring it to a more modern day. You know what I'm saying? Like we need to, because there's stuff going on even today.
Right.
But why? You know what I'm saying? Jerusalem has a rich history, a very rich history. I mean, like your knights in shining armor, as you know, like that's something that you hear. Well, your knights was running over to Jerusalem to fight because during the 800 through 1200 time period, because the Pope, Antichrist, the Pope was saying that, hey, if you go over there, whatever evils you done did over here, if you go over there and fight the Muslims, because the Muslims started taking over around 600 AD. You know what I'm saying? When Muhammad came on the scene, and then he rallied up the Arabs, and he rallied them under the religious banner of Islam.
Right.
Really, the funny thing about Islam is the stuff that they was practicing it already. He just rallied them under the banner of Islam with a fake dream. Oh yeah, Gabriel came and talked.
Right, that's what they lying.
And so now, from 600 AD to about 1400 AD, it's a scrimmage, a fight for this land, basically, between the Arab, who at the end of the day, his ally is gonna be Russia, and the Catholics. Not the Jew. The Jew that wasn't in that fight. The Jew the whole time was getting money. Like he was getting everybody money the whole time. We gonna get there.
The fake Jew.
The fake Jew.
The fake Jew.
Oh no, the real Jew, we was the Jews.
Hey bro, before you, if you don't mind, bro, real quick, if you don't mind, you in Matthew, I just want to show them what you just said in Revelation 3 and 9 to give proof of that statement. And we just showed, you broke down who they are, but real quick, I want to show them, I want them to let, when talking about the land of Jerusalem, what happened to the people that was in that land? That's us. And why we not there no more? Let's go to Luke 21. Real quick.
Jumping the gun, we going.
If
you jumping the gun, we going there next.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We going there next.
Okay, I ain't know.
The spirit
No, you good.
I know,
When I say that, we gonna read.
Go ahead.
Okay.
We doing this, and then we going right there.
That's perfect.
Where we going.
That's perfect.
So
do it.
Matthew 23, 37 through
same spirit.
39.
Same spirit, bro.
Yeah, because that's how I'm handing it off there.
Yeah.
Like
sure.
we're gonna take him to 70 AD, and then he gonna.
Oh, that's beautiful. Let's do it.
We'll
same spirit,
so
bro.
this Jesus talking, and he gonna say, "O Jerusalem," Matthew 23 and 37. "O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that killest the prophets and stonest them which are sent unto thee. How often would I gather thy children together, even as a hen that gathers her chickens under her wings, and would not. Behold, your house is left unto you desolate.
There you go.
For I say unto you, you should not see me henceforth till you should say, blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Lord."
Right.
So the reason I was going there was to say that we ain't there no more.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And this happened at a particular time. Like the children of Israel was back there. We had the commandment, salvation was of us. And then he said, look, therefore your house is left desolate.
Right.
So now we're going to go to Luke 21.
Yeah, praise God.
We're on the same page. This is how we walking him in here.
Right.
He going to go to Psalm 83.
Yeah.
And then from there, we're going to let the big fella run the ball.
Run the ball, man.
We're gonna let you
You gonna take it home?
on the 5 yard line.
You gonna take it home?
You don't get a whole lot of carries. You just get the touchdown.
All right, there it is.
But Luke chapter 21, as the brother was saying.
Yes, sir.
And
praise the Lord.
so I'm gonna pick it up in verse 1. No, wait a minute, not that far up. I'm gonna pick it up in verse 5. And what's happening here, let me give you a little backdrop. Jesus is walking around Jerusalem with his disciples, and they like, yo, look at the temple. Now, we read earlier the temple that Solomon built.
Right.
Well, around 500 BC, you know what I'm saying, like about 500 years before Christ, the Babylonians, a lot of people have heard of the Babylonian captivity. The Babylonians took Jerusalem as a city and took the children of Israel and brought them up to Babylon.
Right.
And they took Jerusalem and party hardy up in that joint. Well, they destroyed the temple that was built, that Solomon built. So through a course of time, because we know Jesus was in Jerusalem, the Medo-Persian Empire comes along. You know, the Persians, like Artaxerxes, or if anybody ever seen the movie 300, you see that I think that was actually Xerxes right there too.
Yeah, it was.
Right. So you know what I'm saying? Like the Persian people came in, and then they gave us our land back. But when they gave it back to us, they didn't set us up with no king. Ain't nowhere in the world was Xerxes finna say anybody was higher than him. The dude thought he was God. You know what I'm saying? So he wasn't going that far. But at the same time, he put us back there, and then the Greeks allowed us to stay.
Right.
And then when Jesus is on the scene, the Romans ruled
Cyrus.
different. Say that
I meant to say Cyrus, right? Or Xerxes?
I was like, no, I was just all of them.
Okay.
I could Darius, Cyrus, Xerxes, all of them. You know what I'm saying?
That was them. That was all of them, right?
Yeah, I'm just saying like those kings. I just said Xerxes because that's a more common one for people who don't know nothing about the Bible.
Gotcha, brother.
You know what I'm saying? But then you got the Greeks, then the Romans. Now when the Romans come on the scene, they continue to allow the children of Israel to stay in the land, but they always lead the police to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. They not gonna kick you out your land at that time. They did eventually, but they weren't gonna kick you out. They policed you. So they were there policing us while Jesus was there. So now, like I say, Cyrus and all of the Medes and Persians, we built temple number 2. So when we built temple number 2, hold on 1 second here, y'all. Sorry about that.
Oh, you still had a joke.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened last time, but it's all good. We'll take number 10. Sorry, y'all. Okay. So, at the end of the day, when Jesus is in the land, the Romans are still there, and it's a second temple that's been erected. So now, they walking through, and here's what Jesus is going to say when they look at the second temple. And some spake of the temple, how it was adorned with goodly stones and gifts. He said, as for these things which ye behold, the day will come, in the which there should not be left one stone upon another, which should not be thrown down. So he's looking at the temple, he's like, look, this temple gonna get destroyed. And they ask him, saying, Master, when shall these things be? And what sign will there be when these things should come to pass?
Right.
So it's like, so when are these things gonna be? And make sure y'all look at that camera too sometime. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know,
I'm looking at it. I'm holding it down.
When should these things be? And what, you know, and when this gonna come to pass? So he started talking to him. He's like, well, take heed that you don't be deceived. Many gonna come in my name saying I'm Christ. They're gonna be deceiving people. You gonna hear wars and commotions, all this kind of stuff. But then he gonna get into something a little more detailed, verse 20. He says, and when you shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies,
there you go.
Know that the desolation thereof is nigh.
There you go.
And let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains. And let them which are in the midst of it depart out of it. And let not them that are in the countries enter therein. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days, for there should be a great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people. And they should fall by the edge of the sword, and should be led away captives into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentile be fulfilled. Now, with that being said, I want to read you something out of history real quick. I hope I got it. About the last, I'm looking for the last 2 years. Yeah, maybe. I'm looking for that 70 AD. So I guess we're going to go to the back. So because this is when that happened, when Jerusalem was passed about with armies, when they took Jerusalem from us. And I hope I have all these books, and I really do have plenty. Okay, here we go. I found one. All right, so I'm in a history book called The Last 2 Million Years. And it's just a history book, okay? And I'm jumping down to where I've already talked to you about. So it says Rome ruled Israel. That's why I said I already talked to you about it. 'Cause I was telling you Rome ruled Israel.
For sure.
Rome ruled Israel through a series of puppet kings.
Right.
Under one of these kings, Herod, we heard of that.
Yep.
Antipas. Jesus Christ embarked on his mission. The Jews could never reconcile themselves to Rome rule, and in 66 AD revolted. So after Jesus died, went back up to heaven, disciples, Paul out there in the Mediterranean, the Jews start bucking Roman rule around 66. They've been bucking, but around 66 AD. In AD 66, revolt broke out, fomented by a group called the Zealots. Rome's reaction was harsh and brutal. Jerusalem fell and Roman legions in 70 AD, and the city's temple was again destroyed.
Right.
Then check this out. Nah, that's good. We ain't gonna go there. I'm gonna let him go there. So in 70 AD is when that temple was destroyed.
That probably would have been good though, what you were about to read.
Yeah, it's okay though.
Okay.
Because I don't want to kill all our time, and I know you got a lot. So that temple was destroyed in 70 AD, and at that pretty much moment, the children of Israel was kicked out of the land of Jerusalem. You want to go look it up in history, look up, what is it, Masada, ain't it?
Yeah, Masada.
Yeah, Masada. That's what you look up. Like, if you just Google Masada, trust me, it's going to put you right there to the date. So I'm going to walk to Psalms 83.
For sure.
And then we're going to let Ira kind of walk us through some more information
Do that,
on Jerusalem, how we are.
You about to
today.
start on that? Okay. I'm going to get the camera straight
doubt.
so we can see that.
No doubt.
What's the pen?
So,
Oh,
I'm going to
12,
Psalm chapter 83.
12,777.
Psalm chapter 83. When I'm going to start reading, I'm not going to speedball through it so that I get my brother. So you have to
Go ahead.
stuff up.
Yeah.
You got stuff up. Okay.
That's what's up.
So verse 1, he says, keep not thou silent, O God, hold not thy peace. Be not still, O God, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult.
Yes, sir.
They that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel. They have taken crafty counsel
Make it plain.
against thy people,
Right.
and consulted against the enemy. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation.
Whole nation.
This is why we do not have a nation right now. This
Right.
is why the children of Israel don't have a homeland to be in. This is why. Because somebody consulted to get rid of us.
Right.
Then he says, it's going to tell you who. Verse 4, they have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent.
Yes, sir.
They are confederate against thee. The Tabernacles of Edom, that's Jacob's brother. And the Ishmaelite, that's Abraham's other son. Of Moab and Hagarims. And those actually are Abraham's nephews. Jebal and Ammon, Amalek, Philistines, with the inhabitants of Tyre. Those were the people that lived there before we did. Asher also is joined with them. They have Hopin, the children of Lot. Lot, one of Abraham. And the reason I keep saying who these people are like this is because people claiming this land for theirs.
Right.
I'm telling you, all these people feel like it's their land.
Right.
So that's why it's a conspiracy. They like,
For sure.
the people that took the land, we gonna make sure they don't get to come back. And it ain't the first time that happened, because when you read the Bible, when Cyrus and Darius was having us rebuild it, the people were saying, "Yeah, don't let them back over there.
Yeah.
They ain't gonna pay you taxes. They ain't gonna do whatever." Yeah. So it says Jebal and Ammon, Amalek, the Philistines, and the inhabitants of Tyre. Asher also is joined with them.
Right.
They have hope in the children of Lot.
Right.
Do unto them as unto the Medians in Sisera and Jabin at the brook of Kison, which is perished at Endor. They became as dung. But verse 12, who said, let us take ourselves the house of God in possession. Okay, so look, it's some people out here that's conspiring, that have tried to replace us. We see there's people out there lying, say that they're Jews and they're not, and all of them, and they fighting over this controversial land. So Brother Iri's gonna give us some more information. He gonna go some more work, things of that nature. We're gonna turn it over to Ira.
Absolutely, brother. I appreciate it. You know, now we got so much information, but I'm just gonna try to bring it to y'all and, you know, some good jewels that can help, you know, add on to understanding why this land is so sought after by all these nations.
Right.
You know, my brother Josh, he had read earlier, you know what I mean, the Lord's response into, you know, if he bring to Solomon, if he, you know, if he bring pestilence on the land and all that. Right. Hey, if his people that's called by his name humble themselves and turn back and pray, then you know he's gonna heal them, heal their land, and bring them back into it. But his eye is always gonna be on this land, but it's sought after by everybody. Right. So in history, we just read where in 70 AD, Titus, Roman Emperor Titus, he came through, broke Jerusalem down to nothing. And kicked them out of that city. Right. But as far as the region is concerned, they were still around there. And they was around there until about 34 to 35 AD. So I'm gonna bring you up from here. Okay. 34 to 35 AD. Okay. And show 135? You. 135. Thank you, brother. For sure. AD. So let's look at this real fast. I have a couple of sources here. You know, you have to, you know, that can add to you. You know, it's many of them out there, but this is a person that, you know, pretty much put things in perspective. It's not too long of a video, and it's from a brother named what's this called? Understanding the Conflict of Israel versus Palestine. Okay. The History of the Jews, Part 1. Okay. Right, and it's from a brother named what's it called? The Truth Unedited. There it is. Truth Unedited. But this is just a little portion of it. Hold on, let me get this right.
Have you ever seen a conflict like this between two people? Like, they fight constantly all the time. Sometimes there's a gap between their beef. Then it always keeps coming back. They actually fight so much that sometimes people on the outside are numb to it. But depending on how deep their conflict is, there is that one time where the conflict gets real and someone gets killed.
He's talking about basically right here, brothers and sisters.
I can't believe it happened.
You can pause it.
He's just basically talking about how it's been conflicts over this land all the time. You know what I mean? But we're going to get right where we need to get to.
There was a guilt or guilt. This conflict must be understood. Let's see it. Okay. So it's hard to know where to start in breaking this up.
No, we know exactly where to start at, brother. We know exactly where to start at. I just heard this shit. Hadrian, all right.
Into a revolt by the Hebrews, led by Simon Bar Kokhba. These Jews.
Yeah, it's about to get an ad.
Unbelievable. Well, I was adding.
While it's adding.
Like JD was saying, brother JD was saying, at 70 AD, they were took out, the land was messed up, and they were fighting and revolting. Right. But Israel used to, good, thank you.
They was letting, you got to pause it again now.
They were letting the Jews, or that was there, you know, they were still operating. Right. And they revolted. Right. After they revolted, one of the Roman emperors, Hadrian, came in and said, skip it. You know what? I'm not going to let you do anything. This is what now, I'm not going to let y'all be around here, worship, do anything. Y'all going to get all the way out the region. And then he's going to change the land name from Jerusalem. And this is when all the different names of Jerusalem are going to change. But I want you to pay one attention to this. Okay. God always had, though the name changes, right, many different times, though many people were ruling over that land and Jerusalem before it got totally taken away and turned into Palestine, God always has his eye on that land. Man, that's why we turn to that land and pray to it. No matter what name it's claimed off of. It's always in the same place. It's not going nowhere. And the powers that be in the Gentiles, we read earlier that, hey, this land was going to be trodden underfoot until the time of the Gentiles, you know, be over with. And we're going to see this. So now this is just Hadrian. Now this is where we're going to get to. We're going to look at that's war. And when he takes Jerusalem and all the people out of that land, and then he's going to rename the land.
Bring it out,
Okay,
bruh.
so before you start that.
Yes, sir.
I just want to read something before we get to 134 AD.
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to read something, and again, we're in the Unger's Bible Dictionary. So we're going to get before it there, so that we can walk there. It says, when Titus besieged Jerusalem in 70 AD, the Idumeans joined the Jews in rebellion against Rome. So we had read prior that 70 AD is when they got kicked out of the land.
Yes, sir.
Or when the temple was destroyed, excuse me. When Titus besieged Jerusalem in 70 AD, the Idumeans joined the Jews' rebellion against the Rome. Josephus says that 20,000 Idumeans were admitted as defenders of the holy city. Once within, they proceeded to rob and kill, but these traitors received the same fate as the few Jews, surviving Jews, when Rome took over Jerusalem. Idumea or Edom ceased to exist. Let me explain what I'm saying about this right now.
Bring it out, bruh.
So we're in 70 AD, so this is 134 AD. In 70 AD, when Rome came and kicked our butts, our brothers was down here, Idumea. They were down here. They decided in 70 AD to help us. But once we allowed them in the city, the Idumeans, instead of helping us, they double-crossed us.
Yes, sir.
Which they've been doing to everybody since then.
For sure.
They double-crossed us.
For sure.
And not only did they do that, but they stole everything at that point, including our identity.
That's right.
Now, it wasn't like in 71 AD you gonna call the Edomite a Jew. But by the time we get here,
Talk about it.
by the time we get here and what she's about to discuss here, now it's like, oh, it's a new Jewish people. And it's not necessarily based off of blood identity. It's more based off of religion and culture.
Right.
Thank you, brother.
Judaism.
Yeah, man, that's how the spirit be rolling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm gonna have you read this.
Obadiah.
This Obadiah.
I already knew it.
After it's done, after I play this, I want you to read Obadiah real
I
fast.
already knew it, bro.
Why the Lord got it in for Edom?
Yeah.
Go ahead. All right, here we go.
Yeah.
They should not.
Renaming it Syria, Palestine.
All right, hold on a
He
second.
renamed Jerusalem.
Oh yeah, he renamed it Palestine.
All
Which
right.
was a revolt by the Hebrews, led by Simon Bar Kokhba. These Jews were
Cork
crushed
butt.
by the Romans, and Emperor Hadrian wiped the province of Judea off the Roman map, renaming it Syria, Palestine.
I want you to pay attention to that.
Named Jerusalem, Area Capitolina, after himself, and rebuilt it as a typical Roman town. It will be this way until the 7th century, when the Arabs conquered the city.
Pay attention to that, because we're gonna understand. Like when we get to the Jordan area, where it says Jordan, and then Jerusalem. Jerusalem is going to be split. That Arab town, you know what I mean? This is going to play a major part in that. Go ahead.
I'll get to that. After this, thousands of Jews migrated.
If you didn't see that, it said Hadrian expels, the Roman Emperor Hadrian expels the Jews out of Jerusalem and renames the area Palestinia.
Come on, bro.
All right? Because that's going to play a major part why it's called Palestine.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Today. And after the Philistines, which plays a major role too.
For sure.
That's on the lower southern coastal land of Judea.
Teach.
Go ahead. I'm like you read.
He said,
Like you read. Like you read.
Hey, guess
Like you
what?
read.
I do the same
that.
thing. I do the same thing in the lessons. I be saying, go ahead to the jump.
In the caption, you may not be able to see this, but it says, most Jews fled Israel and settled in the areas in Eastern Europe. That's going to come into play later on.
Woo.
All right?
but the Jews they talking about there are who?
The ones that was remaining in the land.
Jews fled Israel.
Uh-huh.
What Jews are they talking about?
Come on, you know the one that was in the land. The Edomites, and you got, excuse me, the ones, remember, like I said, these are not us. Remember, it's the Edomites, the ones that's taking our spot, that's trying to be around us.
Right.
Go ahead.
Imposters.
So that should read most Edomites fled Israel.
To be correct, to be absolutely correct.
Yeah,
all right?
Fake Jews.
By this time, Christianity, listen, by this time, Christianity had begun and was spreading in the Middle East and into Europe. Israel becomes known as Palestine now. All right, let's do some more. Let's get some more information.
After this, thousands of Jews migrated to Egypt and Arabia. The persecutions and restrictions imposed on the Jews were so great that a large number of Jews fled into Arabia. During the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th centuries, Judaism was politically powerful in Arabia.
All right, now I want you to understand that the Jews, they were still in the land. I mean, out here in Arabia, where what's the Muslim territory, brother? That's Muslim territory, right? So they were really, the Muslims and the Jews, they were really together. You know what I'm saying?
Actually, Mount Sinai down there too.
Absolutely.
Like Mount Sinai, if you leave and you go down to that bottom, king, that's where Mount Sinai is, down by the bottom.
So now, that's going to play a part.
Okay.
Watch this.
So that's us and the Arabs.
Yes.
Okay.
This power was predicated around trade. There were many Jew kings. We had Abu Kariba, Masrur Abraha, and most notably, Du-Nuwas. Yemen at one time was a stronghold of Jewish kings. By the early part of the 6th century AD, Jewish power in Yemen reached its height. This was the time of the golden age of the black Jews in Yemen, never to be achieved again.
But that was never going to happen again. Apparently, we're going to be about that and be done with all that. Because we have to disappear.
Right.
We have to disappear. So you eat the bones, you eat the meat, and throw away the bones, right? My brother told me this earlier. We was watching this and he said, it's 3 different religions that's going to come and try to grab this land. Correct?
With the East and West. During that time, there was a number of Arab converts to Judaism.
Sorry, brother.
And intermarried with the original Jews.
I want to show you this.
What are you showing us now? We're live.
After this, I'm just showing you how the land was changed. And I'm bringing you up to where, sorry, that's right. Where,
Oh no, no, you good on this one. On this one, it's dark.
I'm trying to bring y'all up all the way to current time. We're around World War I and World War II. You know what I mean? Because I spend so much time on this, but I want to basically let you know that Israel is done. It was named Palestine.
Right.
And from Palestine, all the different countries wanted a piece of this land here. All right? I'm just going to bring you up to this thing. Right now, this is after Palestine gets changed.
The Hebrews were crushed by the Romans and Emperor Hadrian. Like the pottery.
Come on, man.
It's a Judea off the Roman map and renamed it Syria Palestina, which was then.
I'm just going to show you all the names that it was called.
Palestina Prima, Palestina Secunda, second, and Palestina Tertia, third. This all existed until the Muslims began their conquest of the Middle East region.
And why you need to understand this, where the Muslims were, over here, this is the Red Sea. All this is going to be Persia you have right here. You have Egypt right here. Oh, I forgot you could use this. This all here, brothers and sisters, is where the Arab or the Muslims was controlling. But they all want to control Jerusalem.
Right.
They all want to control Jerusalem. The Muslims, you're going to have the Byzantine Empire, where you're going to have the Turkey and you have over here, you have where it's going to be Italy and all this.
Right.
Everybody has their eye on Jerusalem.
Yeah.
It's going to come into play. Bear with me.
In the early to mid 7th century, around 634 AD,
Now we at 600, right?
In the area we call Palestine.
Uh-huh.
And they conquered the land in what was called the Levant.
So understand, around 600, we get into the time of, what's the name? Muhammad.
Yeah.
We get into the time of Muhammad, all right? And when Muhammad's going to get right, we're going to raise up.
And they conquered the land in what was called the Levant.
All right.
It's referred to as the Muslim Conquest of the Levant. You should know of this area of the Levant, which contains the areas of Lebanon, Jordan, Palestine, and Syria. And
so you see this? It says Lebanon, right here, Jordan, Jordan, what else? Palestine's all over here, you understand?
State of Israel. That's why Obama used to call the group ISIL instead of ISIS.
And one of those groups is ISIL.
It was about the Levant. ISIS stands for Islamic State of Iraq and Syria.
Come on.
And ISIL is the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, which is more defined and much more than just Iraq and Syria.
I keep it here because they got Egypt down here, correct?
Right.
Yes.
Egypt's down here at the lower south. South from where Jerusalem is at, right?
Right.
The Levant is all over here. I'm making this plain because Egypt, like my brother said, has always been where it's at.
Right.
All right. So Jerusalem and the land, all the land is always north of Egypt.
Yes,
Just something to think about.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Anyways, after the Muslim conquest of the Levant, by the year 635, Palestine, Jordan, and southern Syria, with the exception of Jerusalem and Caesarea, were in Muslim control.
All right, now pay attention to that. That was Muslim controlled, right?
Wars with the Crusades and the night.
So when we get done, all that land is in Muslim control. We have, let me come over here to this, how Britain started the Israel and Palestine conflict. Because what they were trying to do, brothers and sisters, was after World War II, and JD, right fast, keep me on point right fast. Tell me about the World War I was basically when the Gentiles were fighting each other.
Yeah, well, all our great world, we have had 3 great world wars. And basically what's happening is World War I, it's Gentiles, or it's an eternal European war where they're fighting one another. And then it's the same thing with World War II, that they're fighting one another. The Europeans are, the Gentiles are, for ownership of the world. And then after you look at World War II, even your Korean War and your Vietnam War they're taking people and positioning them so they can have, they can fight for their interests. For example, North Korea, the Russians helped them. We helped South Korea. So when you take it all the way back to the Middle East, it's really the same gamut that's going on. The Western world is represented by the people of Israel, or the Israeli. And then the Eastern world is represented by your Arabs. Because remember we read in Luke 21, it's saying to the time of the Gentile be fulfilled. Right. The Gentile running, but they in there represented by 2 sets of people. You see, the Arabs and the Israelis.
So now, Great Britain, we bring up to right before World War II. Great Britain and the Allied forces right now, you have Great Britain, you have Russia, and you have France, all right? Then you have those that were opposing them, which was the Turks, the Ottoman Empire, all right? Which is where, when you get the Ottoman Empire, that's where you're gonna see where Jordan and Palestine is gonna be split up, so to speak. And what the Allied groups wanted to do was, they want to have control of what was called Palestine and the Arab land, and they were doing a whole bunch of promises during the war. And I just want to show you that while they was doing these promises and promising certain land to one another, you know what I mean? They always had their eye on Jerusalem to split up. This is the whole point I want to get to.
Okay.
So now, watch this.
And he wanted the British to fulfill their plans.
Britain.
Hussein's dream. Fulfill their plans.
Sheriff Hussein's dream of an Arab kingdom ruled by the Hashemites was only partially fulfilled. For although his other son, Abdullah, became king of Transjordan, their old rival, Ibn Saud, swept the Hashemites out of Hijaz when he conquered the...
I'm sorry, brothers and sisters.
Yeah, if you gotta tell us what's going on, you got an audience, for real.
So now, I'm trying to show you where they split this land up.
Centuries troops.
Talking to them.
Britain.
By August the 7th, 1920, Faisal had been deposed and had to flee to Palestine. The promises of Sharif Hussein and Faisal of a single independent state were now a distant memory for Europeans.
So now, Britain promised the Arabs over there, the Ottoman Empire, that they was going to have an independent state. That's what this is about. This is Palestine.
So repeat that again.
Britain promised the Arabs of the Ottoman Empire that they was going to have an independent state.
When did Britain make that promise?
This is before the war, the Second World War. This is before the war, all right? They promised them they're going to have an independent state in Palestine, where currently Palestine and Israel, they share the same state, all right? Same place, different places, but they have the same capital, which is Jerusalem. All right, they want it all. The so-called Edomites, they want it all also, but they couldn't come to no plan.
Right.
So what they had was they're going to separate Palestine. They're going to separate the land of Israel. One's for Israel, one is going to be for Palestine, and they're going to share the capital, which is Jerusalem. So they lied to these cats. You know what I mean?
The English.
Britain lied to them.
Right, Britain, right.
Yeah, and now they're just going to show you how it all played out.
The whole issue of state and influence meant that what was at first appeared to be a willingness to accept a single Arab state.
Trying to turn it up.
Seriously diluted. And then on top of that, of course, the very fact of being in the French area, the British area, meant that the this was the seat of partition. So you had both independence was denied, but also the unity of this area was denied.
The boundaries and governments of the Middle Eastern states that emerged bore the unmistakable imprint of the Sykes-Picot Agreement. The French half of the previously Ottoman province of Greater Syria became the mandate for Lebanon and Syria. The other half became the British mandate for Transjordan and Palestine. In the east, the Ottoman area of Mesopotamia, which included the oil fields of Mosul, was given to Britain as the mandate for Iraq.
So this was basically the importance of the Sykes-Picot Agreement, to divide what is called the Fertile Crescent between Iraq and Syria, and let Britain get access to the oil of the area and be able to exploit it in the future.
But British rule was initially rejected by the Iraqi people until Faisal was installed as king in July 1921. Britain hoped the limited power it devolved to him would serve to placate the frustrated demands for Arab independence. But Sheriff Hussein expected more from the British.
He never gave up the idea that the British had promised him independence, not only in Arabia, but in Syria and Iraq as well. And he wanted the British.
So tell us what we got going.
All right.
Let's got an audience. Like, I know what this is on, but they don't know. Like, they ain't trying to watch this video. You gotta tell them. You gotta tell them what we got going on. What you explaining.
Okay, so now the British promised the Arabs a free and independent country where would be over in what is called Israel. All right, with nobody else being there, they have Jerusalem to be their own capital. What the British did was what the Zionists did with Britain was, listen, we're gonna give you a land, Israel. We're gonna promise it to you via the Balfour Declaration.
Balfour Treaty, yeah.
And treaty. Underhanding and undercutting what they said to the Arabs, because they all wanted that land in the first place. So now, So now, after the war gets won and split, I'm gonna bring you up. After the war gets won and split up, it's time to divvy out everything. The Arabs thinking that they're gonna have a whole plan, have the whole Israel. They don't get it. They're forced to share it with the so-called Edomite or the Jew now. And since they both laying claims to the land, they're gonna have to appease both ways. So they try to appease it by splitting the land in half. Palestine will be the Arabs, and then Israel Israel would be for the Zionists or the Edomites. That's how it's going down, and that's what breaks up with it. Hold on.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Come on, we good with that. We good with that. All right. So look, this is how we gonna go from here. When you let me go with this back out.
Yeah, I gotta do that too.
This real out, and we're gonna maybe roll maybe another 10 more minutes, and we're gonna finish this. All right. So look, I'm gonna get
that's the partition of the states, man.
I'm gonna get I was trying to have that up.
That's why I was trying to.
Because So anyway, here's a brief rundown of the history of Jerusalem. And we're going to pick it up at basically 70 AD. So 70 AD, we saw that Jerusalem was sacked and or sieged. We read some of that information. Then when you get to the 600s, this is still in Jerusalem. From the 600s to the 1200s, that's the Muslim rule and then your crusade period over there in that same land. So they fighting over the land right now. At that point, every time the Muslims come in, the Christians try to kick them out. Actually, the so-called Jews, the Muslims ain't really giving them no problem at this point. The Muslims don't really care about the so-called Jew. They could care less. It's really, if you paid attention to what Ira was saying, and if you paid attention to the video, it's the Gentile that's giving out everything.
Right.
They're the rulers of it.
Right.
Saying who can be where, and that's why we having a fight, because when the rulers come in and say who can be where, you didn't gave land to the same people. You done gave the same land to two different people.
Right.
And now they sitting there, and one of the people, the Arab, they've been there.
Right.
Whereas the other people came after 1917, or that's when they started coming from, because the British promised it to them.
Right.
All right, so then eventually as we get into between 1940 and 1960, that's when you get the development of an Israel state, meaning that it is now official. Israel is its own country. But here's the catch to all that. $1 is only worth $1 because we all agree.
We agree upon it. We gotta agree upon it.
The problem that's going on over there is y'all are saying Israel can be over here, but Palestine and the Arab is still saying, not on my land though.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all gave us this land, so we're gonna fight it out.
Yeah.
That's what's been going on the whole time.
Yeah.
Now, in the meantime, in between time, somebody gonna eventually bring peace. Am I right, Josh?
Oh yeah, the
You got
principle.
that article for me?
Yeah, I do got it, bruh. I do got
so
it. Yeah.
What's the article?
As they continue to fight it out, when you get it, just let me know you got it.
All right, that's
as
okay.
they continue to fight it out, there's going to be a man that comes in there that brings peace to this.
Yes, sir.
So this man is the Antichrist. And I'm going to read something out of the book of Daniel about him in this situation.
Or the man of sin, or whatever.
Yup, Daniel chapter, I'm going to start at Daniel chapter 11. And we in the same territory. When I say the same territory, we still dealing with Jerusalem. But now we done brought it to the future because we see all the bloodshed going on now. And again, the main reason that there's bloodshed today in the land is because, as the brother was showing, the British done gave it, coming out of these wars, they gave the same land to different people.
Right.
Right.
That don't work. That's just like, he'll come to my house talking about something. Pennsylvania gave me this house. And I said, well, Philadelphia gave it to me. It's my house. So now we're going to sit here and fight over the house. And that's what's going on. Okay? Now I'm in Daniel chapter 11, and I'm going to start at verse 31, and it says, an arm shall stand on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, and take away the daily sacrifice, and shall place an abomination of desolation. And such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flattery. So this Antichrist that Josh going to read us about, he gonna come in and be corrupting people by flattery. Verse 33. It says, And they that understand among the people shall instruct many, yet they shall fall by the sword and by the flame. Now I'm gonna go back up a little bit because I just want to see where he come in with peace, but really he ain't got peace.
Right.
Am I supposed to be higher or keep reading? I could just read it all, then I really get
verse 24.
Okay,
verse 24.
Yeah. All right, thank you. So, and then when we get to verse 23, it's the same God, 22. And with arms of a flood shall be overflown from before him, and shall be broken, yea, also the prince of the covenant. And after the league made with him, he shall work deceitfully. For he shall come up and shall become strong with the small people. And he shall enter peaceably and even upon the fattest places of the province. And he shall do that which his fathers have not done, nor his father's father. He shall scatter among them the prey and spoil the riches, yea, and he shall forecast his devices against the stronghold. And he shall stir up the power. So basically, this guy gonna come in bringing peace, but really, he don't mean no peace.
Right.
So I'm gonna jump down to verse 36. And the king should do according to his will. He should exalt himself and magnify himself above every god, and shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation be accomplished. For that is determined shall be done. Neither shall he regard the God of his fathers. Verse 38, but in his estate he shall honor the God of forces. Verse 39, thus shall he do in the most strongholds with the strange God. We're going to skip over to verse 40. And at the time of the end shall the king of the south push him. And the king of the north shall come against him like a whirlwind with chariots and horsemen, and with many ships, and he shall enter into the countries and shall overflow and pass over. So what we're getting at is, as we get to the end, as we climax to this, who's going to settle the controversy of Jerusalem, the Pope is starting to come over there, and the Arab nations, they don't want to have nothing to do with that. So they're going to be kicking that. So then verse 41 it says, and he shall enter into the glorious land. Many countries shall be overthrown, and these shall escape out of his hand. Edom, Moab, and the chief of Ammon.
Right.
All right, and he shall stretch forth his hand upon the countries, and the land of Egypt shall not escape. So as he come in, he gonna be. Pull me up a map real quick, just on another one, so that people can see it. And I'm gonna let them see it, and then we're gonna read this article.
Okay.
And while we want like a Middle East map, like we want a Northern Africa Middle East map. Okay. So it says, he shall stretch forth his hand upon the countries, and the land of Egypt shall not escape. But he shall have power over the treasures of gold and of silver, and all the precious things of Egypt, and the Libyans and Ethiopia shall be at his steps. So, yeah, very good. Okay, so this one is fine. No, this is cool. All right. No, go to the other one. All right. That one. Okay, so the Antichrist is coming from here, and here go your Libya. Here go your Egypt. Thank you. Here go your Egypt. Here go your Ethiopia. Then over here where it says Ammon, Jordan, that's Ammon. That's what that is. That's Ammon and Moab right over here. And so here go the motherland. So I'm gonna read that verse one more time. Matter of fact, read verse 43, and I'm gonna walk you through. Go ahead. Read verse 43.
But he shall have power over the treasures of gold.
Talking about the Antichrist coming out of Rome. He gonna have power over treasures of gold.
And of silver.
Yeah.
And over all the precious things of Egypt. The Libyans and the Ethiopians shall be at his steps.
So he's saying the Libyans and the Ethiopians, they're gonna be at his step. So that means that, like, as he's trying to come to Jerusalem, he gonna conquer them. Go ahead.
44. But tidings out of the east.
But tidings from the east, like how you see Iran, Saudi Arabia, Afghanistan, really Russia, China, tidings out of the east.
And of the north.
And from the north, that's Russia.
Shall trouble.
Right there. Gonna trouble my man that's coming. Go ahead.
Therefore, he shall go forth with great fury to destroy and utterly to make a way with many. And he shall plant the tabernacles of his palace between the seas and the glorious holy mountain. Yet he shall come to his end, and none shall help him.
Okay, so did we miss the verse?
You said 43.
Oh, we missed 41. It says, and he shall enter also into the glorious land. So he gonna be coming into the glorious land, and many countries shall be overthrown, but these shall escape. And notice in the future, it's saying Edom and Moab, that's their land. Right. They get to escape. Right. So basically, he gonna come, he gonna rule all this, but then he gonna meet the East from this side, and actually that's going to end up being World War III Armageddon.
Right.
Yes,
so
sir.
like that's kind of. All right. That's kind of why we talking about this Antichrist. He's going to be the one that brings the peace in.
Right.
So now we got this article up here.
You can start at the one on it. You can start at the other one right next to it on the
This
back.
one?
Yeah.
All right, we got this article up here as we show you the Vatican trying to bring peace. You're not gonna read it?
Yeah. Well, I can read it from here. That actually, what, can you go up top, bruh?
Go ahead and
Yeah, to the top of the title. So we can see the title of
right here?
Of the jump. Yeah, slide it up.
Got you.
So it say, look at that. At the Vatican, no closer to peace, but perhaps a step away from war. Right? I'm gonna come back over there.
Got it.
Yeah. And that's crazy because, you know, this the dude that the Lord calls the man of sin.
Right.
This the guy in Matthew 24 where the Lord said, you know, when you read what we just read in Daniel, make sure you understand that, right? Because this is the guy that's going to bring the great tribulation. You know what I'm saying? And he's going to do that by sitting in the Holy Land. What we're talking about, the holy place, Jerusalem, right? So he going to try to bring this fake peace, right? And it tells you right here how he's going to try to do it. It says his trip began early in the morning, you know, and because he took this trip. Where did he go? It said Pope Francis brings together two presidents in a prayer. So we're going to see what two presidents these are, though. President Shimon Peres, okay? It says, okay, hold on. That's not the president that we need to talk about. But we're going to show you that we're talking about the Israelis and we're talking about the Palestinians, brothers and sisters. That's the presidents that they tried to bring together, and that's why we're talking about rabbis. And then further down, we're talking about Muslims, because the Pope, they looking at the Pope to bring this peace. Because look at this. Let me just show you what they say. Right here, it says, Rabbi Professor Daniel Sperber, the president of the Institute for Advanced Torah Study, right, described himself and the other clergymen at the fore of the aircraft as pawns. Prayers, he said, would not change the political positions of leaders, but what we can do is try and show that religion can bridge differences rather than accentuate them.
So basically what you're saying is, this started off as who get what, and then the Pope come over there, and they started off politics basically in the early 1900s. But now, since there ain't never been no peace, when the Pope comes, they like, well, maybe we can work through religion to bring peace.
Right. But we know that it's like you said, a false sense of peace.
That's
like
correct.
it say 1 Thessalonians 5, when they say peace, it's going to be sudden destruction.
That's right.
And we know that's what's on the horizon. And just to, like Brother Howard pointed out, it says Pope Francis looks on as Israel's then president, Shimon Peres, right? And Palestinian Authority President, Muhammad Abbas, greet each other. So but why is he the one to bring that peace between them, brothers and sisters? It's because the Pope is really in control. The Pope is really pulling the strings. Matter of fact, that third temple that the Edomites are going to, try to set up through the Gentiles, giving them the funding, the Pope's going to sit in that, brothers and sisters. The Pope's going to sit in that. So we know, like the brothers were bringing out in the history, going back to Herod, Rome put the Edomites over Israel, brothers and sisters. Rome, and that's why when it was time, like we're going to read in Obadiah, when it was time, when J.D. read about, the Edomites selling Israel out. They acted like they were going to be our allies, but they sold them out. Who did they sell them out to? Rome. Brothers and sisters.
Right.
It was Rome. So Rome's always been at the forefront. And we see here with the current affairs, the current situation that's going on with the Israelis and the Palestinians. This was from May, what is it? It's a recent article. It was from May 9th, okay? It was from May 9th, 2021. Pope Francis, we see the same thing, appeals for peace in Jerusalem. Pope Francis calls for peace and a shared solution to the violence occurring in Jerusalem as Palestinian protesters continue to clash with the Israeli police.
And again, remember, every time you see Israeli, that's the Edomite, and when you see the Palestinian, that's the Arab. So that you can kind of get an understanding on who the fights. You know, who over there fighting. Oh, well, the Palestinian, okay, that's the Arab. That's Ishmael. So when you start identifying Palestine, you can say Ishmael, and then you can say Gog and Magog. That's who run with them. And when you say Israeli, then you can say the fake Jew, and really the supporter of the fake Jew is America.
Right. For sure. Yeah,
and trust, they have one of the other videos that I had, it was two ladies, they were on a Temple Mount and they was talking. And they said there's 3 religions that basically share the same place. And one of the ladies was asking, well, do you think that they can ever come on this land and be coexistent? And she was like, nah, I don't know how it would happen. Yeah. But the way it's gonna happen is, like the brothers were just saying, a man of sin is gonna come and make a peace deal between the Israelis and the Palestinians, and it's going to make it happen somehow. Some way that's going to happen because the Lord already said it's going to happen that way. You know what I mean?
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
So, brothers and sisters, we're going to try to wrap this up a little bit. I know I heard Obadiah. I want to make sure we read. I want to just make sure we read the actual scripture in Isaiah when he say that he come back to deal with the controversy of his land.
Isaiah 8.
Before we, I don't think that's it, but it's 34.
It is 34.
34.
Yeah, but other than that, no. Like I said, we are over an hour and a half. So, but
34 and 8.
So look,
that's what I want.
Hopefully, as you watch the video, as you see, some of the things that you presented, it gives you enough for you to be able to go back and say, I need to reevaluate my thought process. Like if you thought that the so-called Jew was really the people that, Jesus, reevaluate that thought process. If when you look at Jerusalem and you think that the Palestinian is wrong or the Israeli is wrong, look, reevaluate that thought process.
Right.
Neither one of them is supposed to be there. They're both fighting over land that does not belong to them. And again, the reason that they're fighting is because Edom has sat there and played one against the other through wars on top of wars.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Like you're gonna sit here and promise the winner between the Israeli and the Palestinian. You're gonna promise them the holy Jerusalem, the city, and you giving both of them the guns.
Right.
You they bank.
Right.
So you control who win really. And that's how the Israeli ended up getting there. Is because the so-called Jew, he got the money. He financed it properly so that his people can get there. Mm-hmm. But like I said, I wanted to, with that Ezekiel, that Obadiah, y'all still want to read that?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Well, then we'll read that. We're going to finish with that Isaiah 34.
Yeah, the Lord going to settle the school. Mm-hmm. And you know what, while we go into Obadiah, I just want to land back. I'm glad that Ira kind of explained that idea of how the peace is the fake peace, the so-called peace, right? Because if you read 1 Thessalonians 5, go to that chapter, read it on your own. Paul was warning about a time where they're going to act like it's the most peaceful time of the world. And why is it going to be the so-called most peaceful time? Because they're going to say that the Israelis and this war that's been going on in Israel and the Palestinians finally came to an agreement.
Finally.
This peace in the middle, it's finally peace in the Middle East.
Right.
That's what they're going to say because that's what the Edomites are hoping they saying they know in their mind. They know because according to the scriptures, but they don't have a good understanding, right? They think and they got the whole world to believe that once that third temple is built, it's going to bring the Messiah and it's going to bring peace on earth. But we trying to warn you that that's the false sense of peace. When they say that, brothers and sisters, that's the time where of the great tribulation that the Lord was warning to read Daniel, which JD just did, about the abomination of desolation. We showing you that's the Pope who's bringing this fake peace. So we trying to show you how close we are as well to the end, brothers and sisters. Yeah. So I just wanted to make sure I made that clear as to what we're talking about and how we're going to get to this great tribulation.
Obadiah?
Yeah.
Obadiah.
1 and 2.
The vision of Obadiah. Thus saith the Lord God concerning Edom. We have heard of a rumor from the Lord. An ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise, let us rise up against her and die. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised.
And he's greatly despised. And he's small because, see, you can't even see Edom. You know what I mean? He's portrayed. That's the one you can't see. He looks white. You know what I mean? He's in the land, but you can't see him. The Gentile know, you know what I mean, that he thinks that he's Edom, or not Edom, but a Jew.
A Jew, right.
He thinks that he's a Jew.
They don't even think that.
But
like,
listen,
when I say they don't think that, if you walk up to you hold a conversation with an like a Gentile, like a Khazar or Ashkenaz, and you begin to ask them, do you think you are of the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? They're gonna say no. Like they know it now, but here's the catch though. They are Jewish. It's their custom. Their people got the land, the land Israel. It's almost like they playing a game with words to take something that ain't theirs. They steal it, and the only way you can steal it is to manipulate words. But they know, now, if you run across an Edomite, I don't know what he gonna tell you. You did, because most of the time, the guise of the disguise of the so-called Jew is a white man. You see what I'm saying? Like the Khazars or the Ashkenaz. And that's why us Israelites have a big problem with with Edom is this and all that, you know what I'm saying?
Edom's the white man.
Because y'all not understanding. Edom is playing a trick. He don't want to be discovered. He don't want you to put, yeah, that's me. Because once we identify Edom, remember it said in that history book, Edom ceased to exist. So it's like in 70 AD, Edom is gone. If we pull Edom back out, like Brother Nate did in Atlanta last week, finding Esau. If we pull him back out, now we gotta go look for his brother. And so that's a part of the conspiracy. So that's why you got the Khazars and the Ashkenaz. But if you, and I've done that, that's how I know. They're not gonna tell you that. They're gonna start getting into all rhetorical and then think like about how, it's gonna be weird. Find you a so-called Jew and ask them, are they a son of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob?
And they're gonna be like, nah,
yeah, well, it depends on how smart they are. But yeah, for the most part, they'll be
so the point being is like, those that need to know, they know if they eat them. That's the point, right? That's the point. They know they eat them, but for the grand part, Edom been wiped off the map. But the Lord didn't forget you. And those that's in power that has the way to influence things like the Rothschilds and other people that got land and everything. Listen, they set it all up to where they can be forgotten about. And the Lord telling you, look, I made you small among the heathen. You know what I'm saying? And greatly despised because they got all the money. They got everything that you know what I mean, we supposed to have, but doing things wickedly. But go ahead. But so the Lord got something in for them, and the brother's going to read about that in Isaiah 34 because of this right here. You know what I mean? Every time we got hit off, they were in the cut. I got it right. I know. They were in the cut. Yeah, get them. You know what I mean? Yeah, get them. Yeah, do all that. You know what I mean? And then when you take them out, basically they're gonna be like, yeah, let me go help you get them out. And then they're gonna start taking all our land and everything. But this is why the Lord's he got something for him. We're gonna tell you about it. Go ahead, read verse 10.
Verse 10. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee.
See, but shame gonna cover you ultimately. You don't have no shame right now. When anybody talk about you, they got to talk about you in the highest esteem right now. And if we start talking about it, what's it going to be? Oh, you anti-Semitic.
Go ahead, bro. Anti-Semitic.
Who else was a football player that talked about it wasn't Deshaun Jackson. Who was it from Philly? Somebody else talked about him, man.
Somebody did.
But you know what I mean? And it's like they quickly recanted what they was talking about. But anyway, whenever you talk about about the Jew now, they made it so that it's a bad thing. But he said, for thy violence, go ahead.
For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee.
Go ahead.
Thou shalt be cut off forever. In the day that thou stoodest on the other side. In the day that the strangers carried away captive his fortune.
So he said, look, what are you talking about? That's 70 AD, man.
Yes.
You know what I mean? 70 AD, man, they came up in there, man. They always been around. And when you do your own research, you're gonna see Edom is right outside of Judah.
Facts.
So they always been there. You know what I mean? And if you look at the blessing, with the blessing, he said, hey, his father told him that, hey, he gonna take off the yoke from around your neck one day. And you're gonna see in David's time that David had Edom, under subjection.
Facts.
And then later on, you know, they broke away from that, and they've been always, and when they broke away from that, hey, they've been trying to take our land and our identity ever since. But go ahead, brother.
Right, we was talking about this this past weekend. Yo, dude, he done been want to kill Jacob from day one.
Yeah, man.
So, you know, like, yeah, we got ruled for a little bit, like we said, via David. But shoot, after a while, you read in the book where Edom did break off, and from that point on, as soon as the Assyrians tried to come down there, boom, they go Edom. You know what I'm saying? Like
every opportunity,
like they just kept they only lived right below us.
Right.
Like when I say right below us, like Georgia to Florida, Michigan to Ohio. You understand what I'm saying? Like we talking like that. So it was only right there. So it was like, shoot. Oh, they in trouble? Here we come.
Yeah, maybe this is it.
We can take?
Maybe this is it right here. Yeah, but you know, it's always been that way. You know what I'm saying? You know, even in Moses' time, listen, man, when we came out of Egypt and we just had to pass through, Moses was going to pay for the water that he drank and that the cattle drank. And they was like, man, nah. If you come in here, we're gonna kill you, man.
That's what they said.
I mean, so he's always had this violence against his brother. All right, so it's the Lord. He's the ultimate bookkeeper, man. He'll get you. He can wait on him, man. But he gonna get got. So this is why he's gonna explain to you why he got an issue against Edom. And when the Lord come back and set up rulership on here, brother JD, who we read earlier in Revelation chapter 2:9 and 3:9, how these Jews, you know what I mean, that they lied. They call themselves the synagogue of Satan. You know what I mean. And 3 and 10, he gonna tell you, I'm gonna make them come to worship at your feet, so that we can know the hated, the real Jew. They gonna know that I have loved thee. See, the Lord love his people, and we gonna be back on top again.
Yes, sir.
But here, this is the bone I got to pick with you, Edom. Go ahead at verse 11.
And in the day that thou stoodest on the other side, and the day that the stranger carried away captive his forces, foreigners entered into his gate, cast lots upon Jerusalem. Even thou was as one of them.
Go ahead.
That's like how we read earlier, how like they came in there to help us, but really
20,000 strong.
Right.
For sure.
Helped us put out the land.
For sure.
Verse 12. But thou shouldst not have looked on the day of thy brother, in the day that he became a stranger.
Look how the Lord talking, man. He said you shouldn't look on your brother like that.
Facts.
Even in Deuteronomy, the Lord said, thou should not hate the Edomite in thy heart.
That's
you know what I mean? Because he's your brother.
Right. That's right, bro.
You know what I mean? Go ahead.
Neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction. Neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of destruction.
There it is. Go, keep going.
Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people.
You said you should not even enter into the gate of my people.
In the day of their calamity.
Go ahead.
Yea, thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity.
Keep going.
Nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity.
Go ahead.
Neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape.
So even when they escaped, you know, we got out of it, man. We got away from these Romans. They're like, nah, there he is over there behind the bush. No, get him. So the Lord got something in for him. They tell you in Proverbs, you ain't even supposed, when your enemy is messed up, you ain't even supposed to be happy about that.
Right.
The Lord said, oh, he's going to turn away his wrath from them. So they all the way wrong with the commandments of God.
Bro.
You understand?
Come on, bro.
Go ahead, brother. Keep reading.
Neither shouldst thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in the day of distress. For the day of the Lord is upon all the heathen.
The Lord going to get all the heathen. And what's going to happen, brother?
As thou hast done.
So, but as you has done, brother,
it should be done unto you.
It's going to be done straight right unto you. Where it is, you trying to hide who we are, and have the whole world in confederacy, like it say in Psalms 83. You know what I mean?
Right.
In confederacy to cut us off, the so-called black man, the African. You know what I mean? All them cut us off as a people.
Right.
And had the whole nation against us.
Right.
The Lord going to do it openly with you.
Come on, bruh.
Go ahead, brother. That should be it, right? You finished 15, that'd be it.
All right. Well, no. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head.
Yes, sir. As you done, it's going to be done to you. Edom.
Hey, I'm sorry, y'all. Do you have to wrap it up right now? Because I just got one.
Go ahead.
Ezekiel 35.
You was going to get one. You was going to get one anyway. We're going to finish this stuff. We're going to finish
Oh,
this.
y'all not done?
No, he didn't. We're going to take this to 18.
Oh,
you
beautiful.
got to explain now. I'm just going to read it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Beautiful.
It says, for as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So shall all the
definitely.
eating and drink continually. Yea, they should drink, and they should swallow down, and they should be as though they had not been. But upon Mount Zion shall be delivered.
Yes, sir.
There shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble. And they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord has spoken.
Man,
Yeah.
Where you said you wanted to go?
I'm on to land back with Ezekiel 35.
Yep.
And on our way there, I just want to read something. We don't got to go here. But for the people how my brothers were breaking it down, how, Esau been hiding. Esau been hiding. The fake Jews been hiding. Well, guess what we doing? In Jeremiah 49:10, it said, but I have made Esau bare. See, the Lord see you, bruh.
Right,
and we following the Lord. We the Lord's chosen, not y'all. We see you too. So it say, but I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places. And that's what we doing. Yeah. That's what we doing right now. So you better know your end.
Come on, bro.
You better know.
Like, notice how I'm saying, like, his secret places. Because us Israelites, we be arguing like, well, this is the Edomite and this is the Edomite. Like, don't you get it? If you can sit here and tell the world who Edom is, then the next question is, where's Jacob?
Facts.
Right.
We're going, he said, Ezekiel 35.
Hey, yeah, 35, bruh. Pick it up at verse 1, because this is actually where why the Lord said what he said in Revelation 2:9 and 3:9. It's actually from here, brothers and sisters. Everything written in the New has already been written in the Old.
Right.
The New Testament was just confirming it.
That's right.
So we can just jump around a few little places. I don't want to take too much time, but you can start in verse 1.
Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying,
It's the word of the Lord, brothers and sisters. Go ahead.
Pay attention.
Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir.
Okay, Mount Seir is Edom, Taman, right?
Right.
Esau,
Both
the fake Jew. That's Mount Seir, brothers and sisters. Go ahead, bro.
And prophesy.
Okay, so the Lord telling you what's to come to pass. Go ahead.
And say unto it, thus saith the Lord God.
Right.
Behold, O Mount Seir,
Yeah.
I am against thee.
He's against thee. It's not. You can't say God is anti-Semitic. You can't say that.
Right.
But he is against you.
Right.
He anti you, bruh.
Talk that
Go. Read.
I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee.
Right.
And I will make thee most desolate.
Yeah.
I will lay thy cities waste. Thou shalt be desolate.
Come on, why?
Thou shalt know that I am.
Okay, you gonna know that because God's doing this. And my brother's been saying they've been having it against us from the beginning. Well, let's read about it. Read, bro.
Because thou hast had a perpetual
hatred.
Right.
That's why they've been doing it. That's why they've been so shiesty. Can't even have a proper deal. They got 360 deals for our brothers right here in the record industry,
Come on,
in the music industry.
Straight up.
Always been shiesty, bro.
Yeah.
After we made an agreement, just like back in the day.
Right.
But man, come on, go ahead, bro.
Right, bro.
Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword at the time of calamity.
Wow.
In the time that their iniquity had an end.
Yeah, go ahead, bro. Read.
Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord God.
Come on.
I will prepare thee into blood.
Unto blood.
Blood shall pursue thee.
Yeah.
Since thou hast not hated.
Look at that. See, all like JD was breaking down. All the war. Of course they're gonna win. They got the fat of the earth.
That's right.
They've been able to dictate how these wars have been going.
That's right.
And they ain't just been killing the Palestinians. They've been killing all the other groups that's in there and us.
Yeah, playing both sides.
Playing both sides and killing God's anointed. God's the apple of God's eye.
Right.
So you know God gonna have to get you.
Absolutely.
Keep going though, bro. We almost done. It's verse 6.
Verse 6. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord God, I will prepare thee into blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee.
Man, for sure.
Thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate.
Right.
Cut off from it him that passes out, him that returns.
Right. And who you gonna fill his mountains with?
And I will fill his mountains with his slain men. And thy hills and thy valleys and in thy rivers shall they fall that are slain with the sword. I will make thee a perpetual desolation, and thy city shall not return.
Right.
You should know that I am.
And pay very close attention to this next verse. What it say, bro?
Because thou hast said these two nations.
These two nations. What we got?
Countries.
What are they?
Shall be mine.
Wow.
And we will possess it. Whereas the Lord was there. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord God, I will even do according to thine anger.
Right.
And according to thine envy, which thou hast used out of thy hatred against them. And I will make myself known among them when I have judged thee.
Man, the
Thou
Lord gonna
shalt
judge
know
you. Yeah. Oh no, okay. Well, two things. What two countries were those?
Look, it's Israel. Was it
North and South. They said it. They said
and
Judah, and they said these are going to be mine forever. The Prime Minister said that.
Right.
You know, Brother Bowie like to bring that out. You know, in one of the lessons with Esau and Jacob, he actually got the article, and I got it somewhere too, where the Prime Minister has said that these two countries going to be ours forever.
Yeah. Okay.
The Prime Minister. Yeah,
Right.
McBagan or whatever his name was, that dude.
Right.
He said that, brothers and sisters. Sadly mistaken. And this is where we get Revelation 2 and 9 and Revelation 3 and 9 from. Right here. Read that, bro. Verse, what is it? You was just at it. You was just about to read it.
No,
you read 10. Yeah, 12. There you go. 12. There you go.
And thou should know that I am the Lord. That I have heard all the blasphemies.
All the blasphemies
against the mountain
right.
of Israel.
Right.
Saying they are laid desolate. They are given us to consume.
That's why the Lord gonna make them bow down at our
That's what
feet.
he said. Yeah, I'll make them come to know who I love.
He said they say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. He said he knows their blasphemy.
That's right, brother.
Go ahead.
Teach,
so in verse 12, he basically just said, like, y'all don't hear the identity like this.
Right.
The Lord should know that I am the Lord, and I have heard all the blasphemies thou hast spoken against the mountains of Israel, saying they are laid desolate.
Yeah.
They are given us to consume. Meaning, like, they're dead.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's what they basically they trying to play the game out like we wiped the children of Israel out of here.
Yeah.
That's why we can come in and take it.
It's all. That's why they feel like it's their right to the land.
So come on, man. Let us cut them off from being a nation.
Because they always wanted.
I know this go all the way back to a dang on piece of bread.
That's what I was about to say. That's what I was about to say.
Straight
Some
up,
red beans and rice from Popeyes.
Yeah, let's go all the way back to the dang
and
he would have sold his
that's what it
birthright.
is.
And really, he sold his birthright.
Right.
That's what he did. He sold his birthright, and he mad. And he been trying to, because the birthright was delayed.
Exactly.
And you mad, and you've been trying to get that boy back.
Come on,
for like
bruh.
0,000 years.
That's it. That's what we talking about. And for the people that's watching, that's what y'all need to understand. This conflict, this controversy that's happening in our land, Israel, is nothing but a family feud.
Yeah.
It's nothing but a family feud. Because, listen, the firstborn, which was,
Esau.
Well, Ishmael, and then Esau, they actually have the right to the land traditionally because they're the firstborn. But the Lord didn't go through them.
Because the Lord said about Ishmael, I don't know you.
He a wild man.
Right. He said like,
oh yes, that's what he said.
Son, thy only son.
Exactly.
That's right. To Sarai, not Hagar. So Bam had eliminated Ishmael.
For sure.
Ishmael think he got claimed because he firstborn.
Exactly.
And then with Esau, the Lord told the mama the elder was gonna serve the younger.
Boom.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But my man, you sold your birthright.
Right.
And when your daddy was giving you the blessing, you weren't supposed to go and get the blessing.
Exactly.
You were supposed to tell him, well, look, I sold my birthright. Let me bring Jacob in here. So you shiesty from day one.
Shiesty.
Right.
Shiesty. Man.
Yeah.
They even got sayings like that. You can't trust a Jew.
You can't trust.
Right?
Yeah.
For real though. But yeah, man, and the last verse, bruh. The last verse, because the Lord is not playing. What does verse 13 say, bruh?
That's with your mouth.
Yeah.
You have boasted against me.
Man, not just against us, the children of Israel, but against God, brothers and sisters.
Have multiplied your words against me.
Go ahead.
And I have heard.
He hear everything. What 14 say?
Thus saith the Lord God. When the whole earth rejoices.
When he come back to rule this world, what, bruh?
I will make them desolate.
You're going to be desolate, man. You're going to be desolate when the whole world rejoice.
Yeah.
When the Lord come back.
As thou didst rejoice at the inheritance of the house of Israel.
Wow.
Because it was desolate.
Wow.
So will I do unto thee.
Man.
Thou shalt be desolate.
Man.
Mount Seir.
Come on.
All I do, man. Even all of it. They should know that I am the Lord.
Lord not playing with y'all, bro.
Yeah.
He uncovered you.
Yeah, he did. Well, brothers and sisters, we're gonna wrap it up. I don't even, I'm gonna read the one verse. Yeah. I ain't even gonna read, really, on your own. Sister Melissa, I know you out there, got some homework, read the whole chapter. she was watching earlier,
Okay.
And she always does homework.
Right.
That's what's up.
That's what's good, sister.
But
Uh-huh.
I'm going to Isaiah 34 real quick. I just want to read one verse. Read more of it, but we're just going to read one verse, and that's verse 8.
Come on.
For it is the day of the Lord's vengeance, in the year of recompense for the controversy of Zion.
Man.
When the Lord come back, that's his land. That's when he gonna fight the capital at. And so with that being said, man, they can fight all they want. They can try to figure out what they want on the scrimmage or whatever, but when God come back, we taking that land.
Man.
And with that being said, bro, I appreciate your time. Any parting words?
Oh, man. Do your due diligence, brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
That's it.
All praise to the Most High.
This has been the Lord's been kind. The Lord has been kind. Hopefully we'll be able to, Lord willing, we'll be able to come down here on a monthly basis. All kind of topics. You guys can even put some in, and we'll sit around and try to discuss them with you using the Bible, using whatever resources you need to do to try to help you get an understanding. And as always, I'll leave you with this. One man plants, another man waters. It's the Lord that get the increase.
Praise God.
All praise to the Most High.
Hey, for sure.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Hey, man.
Great job.
That was, man, that was off the chain.
Where we at? Video has ended.